He had lived quietly on the edge of the woods for years, a modest home tucked beneath the canopy of pine and oak, surrounded by land that had been in his family for generations. The forest was more than scenery, it was memory. It held the echoes of his grandfather's footsteps, the scent of his father's tobacco, and the rhythm of his own heartbeat when he hunted at dawn. For Darnell, the land was sacred. It was where he found peace, where he taught his son to track deer, and where he prayed when the world felt too heavy. But peace, for a black man in a white neighborhood governed by a homeowners association, was never guaranteed. The letter arrived in a crisp white envelope, stamped with the HOA's seal. It was formal, sterile, and cold. Violation of community standards, it read. Unauthorized hunting activity. A fine of $1,500 was imposed. No warning, no conversation, just punishment. Darnell stared at the paper, his jaw clenched. He had hunted legally on his own land, with all permits in order, but the HOA didn't care. They saw a black man with a rifle and decided he was a threat. He attended the next HOA meeting, dressed in a pressed shirt and tie, calm but firm. He brought documents, proof of land ownership, hunting licenses, state regulations. He spoke with dignity, explaining that his hunting was lawful and deeply personal. But the board barely looked up. One woman whispered something to another and smirked. A man cleared his throat and said, "We just want to maintain the character of the neighborhood." Darnell knew what that meant. His presence disrupted their illusion of control. His blackness, his independence, his refusal to shrink. None of it fit their mold. The fine stood, and so did Darnell. He paid it, not because he accepted their judgment, but because he was already planning his response. He began researching the HOA's favorite hiking trail, a stretch of forested land, adjacent to the neighborhood, privately owned but leased to the HOA for recreational use. It was where they held their annual nature walk, where families posed for Christmas photos, where joggers escaped the monotony of suburbia. Darnell had walked those trails 2 years ago, before the HOA posted signs discouraging non-residents from entering. He remembered the looks he got, the way people clutched their dogs tighter, the way silence fell when he passed. He discovered the land was up for sale, quietly listed, tucked into a real estate site with no fanfare. The owner was aging, ready to let go. Darnell made the call. He didn't haggle, he didn't delay. He bought the land outright, cash. It was expensive, but he had saved for years, working double shifts, investing wisely, preparing for something he couldn't name until now. When the deed arrived, he held it like a trophy, not out of spite, but out of pride. It was proof that he belonged, not because they allowed it, but because he claimed it. He walked the trails again, this time as owner. He touched the trees, listened to the wind, and felt the weight of history pressing against his chest. Then he posted the signs. Private property, no trespassing. He installed gates. He notified the HOA. The land was closed, permanently. The outrage was immediate. Emails flooded in, angry calls, accusations. "You're being petty," they said. "This isn't neighborly. You're ruining it for everyone." Darnell read each message with quiet resolve. He didn't respond. He didn't need to. His silence was louder than their indignation. At the next HOA meeting, the mood was tense. Darnell sat in the back, arms folded, watching. The board scrambled to discuss alternatives, legal options, negotiations. One man suggested offering to buy the land back. Darnell stood and spoke. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight. "Of generations, you fined me for hunting on my own land. You treated me like a criminal. You ignored my rights, my dignity, my history. Now you want access to mine? No." There was silence. Not the kind that follows defeat, but the kind that precedes reckoning. Word spread beyond the neighborhood. Local papers picked up the story. Black homeowner shuts down. HOA hiking trail after discriminatory fine. Some called him a hero. Others called him vindictive. But Darnell didn't care about labels. He cared about justice. He cared about teaching his son that dignity is not negotiable, that when the world tries to shrink you, you expand, that when they try to erase you, you write your name in bold. He began hosting youth groups on the land, black boys and girls from nearby schools. He taught them about nature, about history, about resilience. He showed them how to track deer, how to read the wind, how to stand tall. The land became a sanctuary, not for joggers seeking escape, but for children seeking identity. One day, his son asked him, "Why did you close the trail, Dad?" Darnell knelt beside him and said, "Because sometimes, son, you have to remind people that we belong. Not by asking, not by pleading, but by owning."